We are turning now to a PG-13 topic that, of course, you can count on us to do tastefully and sensitively, but we do like to give you the chance to press pause or send little ears out of the room. My next guest is taking on a marriage issue that she calls universal. No two partners want the same amount of sexual intimacy at the same time. According to Dr. Liz Hale, there is always a higher desire partner and a lower desire partner, but she says desire discrepancy is actually not the problem. The problem is what we think about our intimacy imbalance and how we manage it. Hey, Lizzie.
Nicely said. Hello.
I love that you're taking on this topic. I can't recall really, I know we've talked around it. I can't recall ever hitting the nail on the head, so to speak. So I'm glad that you are. Knowing this affects so many people, you say marriages can really break down over this issue.
Oh gosh, it's heartbreaking. Sadly and unnecessarily, sexual intimacy sometimes brings up a lot of pain and rejection, and it ought not. So we've got the high desire person who's feeling disappointed and rejected. And we've got the low desire person who's feeling broken and to blame. And, you know, why would we ever be on the same page when it comes to desire? It's so complicated, for one, and we're different people, and we switch places also. We might go from high desire to lower desire, and it's all relative within our relationship,
Depending on the season of life or the situation.
Oh my goodness, so many things. Stress, hormones, life, yes.
What is the driving goal then when you work with a couple that has a desire discrepancy?
The goal is to help the lower person come a little higher. In other words, where they don't just have a sexual connection, but they want one. So it really belongs to two people creating a design of their sexual intimacy, but we have to work together, and we both need to want that.
And I'm curious to know, as you work with couples on this topic, I think stereotypically, or I guess the word commonly might be more appropriate, we think of men as the high desire partner in the relationship. And I know that whenever this topic comes up, women are quick to say, no, in my marriage it's different.
Or I'm glad they speak up.
Right, which represents your point that this can happen on either side of the aisle. But I'm curious to know, do you treat it differently gender to gender? Like if the male has the higher desire or the woman has the higher desire, does that affect how you treat it?
I just think it's human nature. You know, we all feel the same. Whether we have a higher desire or lower desire, we're feeling the same. We're just feeling off, like, oh, this is really not right. And we start to really go down a rabbit hole, like, gosh, maybe we're not meant to be, or maybe we just weren't meant to have a sex life. I mean, it just is heartbreaking to see where they take it if they don't get the right help and right understanding.
You say sexual drive happens in two ways. First, proactive drive.
Yeah, proactive, meaning, you know, I feel it, I want it, I seek my partner for it. And then the reactive, the other one is, I don't think about it, I don't want it, I don't seek it. However, I am willing to show up. I'm willing to show up because reactive desire can lead to a nice sexual desire.
So reactive desire can transform.
Once we get started, that's right. Reactive drive intentionally gives you a chance to really got to get yourself there. So you can really go from a zero sex drive or desire to really feeling like, why did I put this off? This feels so good, right? But reactive desire works 5 to 95% of the time. It's not 100%, which is why this works, because it needs both people to say, we don't know what the end result might be, but we're willing to show up. We're willing to show up in it, right?
You want couples to approach this topic or this issue, this imbalance, with a great deal of flexibility.
That's right. So never allow something to feel like a failure when you're both showing up and you're both trying, but just recognize that this may not lead to sexual intercourse, for instance, but we're there, and maybe just one of us has pleasure, but we're both participating, and that's the great thing. When you don't have the end game in mind, it takes off the pressure, and that's the best thing for all couples, really. No pressure.
Well, back to that end goal. Is the end goal then to find balance or to be more balanced?
It's to be connected. It's to be connected, whatever happens, right? This is not about frequency. It's really just about showing up together and being intimate, being connected, being close. That's really it.
You see this has a lot to do with ownership as well.
That's true. Own your side of the bed, right? and find out, recognize the best part of you that shows up in this and the worst part of you. So the best part, the best part of the high desire partner is that they're really insisting that we take good care of this part of our marriage. I really love that the high desire partner is ringing the bell going, this is not okay to never have sex, to never have a connection.
And when you frame it like that, Liz, it becomes less about the act, right? Or the physical demonstration conversation and more about the health of the marriage.
Oh, yes. Well, I think that's the best part about the high desire partner. Now, the worst part is that sometimes they are so lonely and so desperate that they're looking for their partner to make them feel validated. And that's not where we want to go, right? So we really want to take ownership of our own limitations, our own humanness, and really stand up for the marriage.
Contributing factors can be confronted, and you say they have to be confronted in order for this to work.
That's right. So for the low desire person, that person needs to understand that they're standing for a shared sexual experience, not just to please the other party, right? I love that they can hold their ground, saying, no, I got to be on board too for this to go well. And then the worst part of that is they can sit too long in their comfort zone, right? They can just not be willing to stretch or try, even though their partner is hurting. That's the worst part. So again, what is the bottom line? It's that both partners need to show up and create a design for a really healthy sexual connection. But it takes two.
It takes two.
Yeah.
And like you said, own your side of the bed. I
Own
love
your
that.
side of the bed, yes.
And I appreciate that you've highlighted, weaknesses, sure. Even the word weaknesses, I didn't even hear you use, but strengths of each of these, desires.
Yes.
And that working together, you can hopefully come together for that connection that you talk about.
There's a strength and a challenge that both parties bring to it.
Yeah.
Right? So working together.
Strength and challenges.
Every, licensed marriage therapist needs a good certified sex therapist. So I have someone that I turn to, Jessa Zimmerman. She has a great book on this topic. Right? It's called Sex and Not Stress, right? Sex Without Stress. There we go. So we have a copy to show our viewers, and I just think that's a great book. She's lovely. She's very well sought out on social media, and you can find her, especially with this desire discrepancy piece.
Can I ask you, what is the difference between a marriage and family therapist and a sex therapist?
Right. So she specializes just in sex.
This is her
right?
specialty.
So we may cover sex a bit in marriage therapy, right? It's one of those top 5 causes of the demise of marriage, but she really specializes in it. So it's nice to be able to have someone to consult with or refer to if need be.
Sure. I appreciate that resource and that recommendation. Liz, thank you for taking this on so sensitively and tastefully.
It's my pleasure.
We appreciate you.